Okay, so I'm going to be doing the Apex trigger install. Really like the Apex trigger. Like I said, I never had experience with the M&P 1.0 trigger, but I heard it was absolutely atrocious, and that this is significantly better. And then even this is the Performance Center, and it's supposed to be really nice, but when you press it, it just feels very grainy as compared to the Apex. And then also the length of pull on this, or the uptake, gets reduced, and the reset feels like it's reduced, and also the trigger weight. So definitely a must for me. I definitely prefer this and like it a lot. So I'm going to put that into it. You have to figure out, depending on your goal trigger weight here, I send you this flow chart. So my goal here is 4 pounds. If I want to carry it on duty, our policy states it has to be a minimum of 4 pounds. And so I'm going to use the flat face trigger, the fully machined Sear Ultimate Striker Block. I come down here, Sear spring in the plunger, factory trigger return spring, and that should give me 4 pounds. I know, this is Glock. Look, I liked Glock before. It was all that I had experience with in the academy and was issued until we were able to carry our own guns. And then once I got a hold of an M&P, I fell in love. Glock's still a good gun, but I really like this. I've gone to I don't know how many armorer schools for Glock, so I have a couple of these, and they're nice to keep my parts in. So I'm going to use them still. Still a good gun, still a good company. Alright, so first, I'm going to remove this guy. Which exposes this guy. Nope. This is under pressure and there's a spring under there, so make sure you cap that. Okay, now this stock plunger spring and the stock plunger drop right out. And we're just going to fit that right in there. Drop it in. And replace this guy. Make sure it's seated on that little nipple. Sorry, my hands are probably in the way. Tiny parts. And that's all there is to do with the slide. Okay, so to disassemble the frame, or take all these parts out, I'm going to use this little guy here. You got to make sure the takedown lever is not in the way of the trigger pivot pin. And I like to come out right to left. Just a 3/32 punch. Does not want to come out. Okay, got it. Now we can go for locking block pin. And this one. Now with those out, you come in here, little screwdriver, little twist, get this guy started. Apex has their own installation videos on this trigger as well, if you just want to go to their website and take a look. Follow their instructions and you're good to go. Definitely they do say this work should be done by a gunsmith. I'm not a gunsmith. I am an M&P armorer though. You can separate this polymer housing from the locking block. Trigger bar will come right out. So we can take the punch, just give it a little wiggle, get it started. There you go. So this little guy, I forgot what they call it. The I don't know, stops the trigger from going over travel. That's it. Needs to come out. So let's use a punch. Push that out. Doesn't need it. The Apex has a built-in over travel in the trigger shoe itself, so you're just gonna leave that hole open. So we're going to remove the factory trigger shoe here. Guess we'll do it this side. Just gently tap out that pin. Comes right out. Now for installing the apex trigger, it comes with this pin preset, and sometimes it protrudes on this side just a little bit, and you're able to kind of slide this in and it clicks into place. Right now it's recessed too much and this thing just kind of free floats. So you got to try to line this up as you press this pin through, and the best way to press this pin through is like Apex tells you to do, using a vise. I didn't have a vise for a while, and I did a couple of these triggers without one, and it was a tremendous pain in the ass. What I did, I think I used a C-clamp, but that C-clamp had like a rubber pad that would kind of flex around, and so I put that rubber pad on this side and the metal part on this side to try to press that through. And sometimes that pin can be real stubborn, doesn't want to go, and then when it does go, it goes way too far, and then you got to try to back it out and set it again. So I like to try to preset that pin just a little bit so that it protrudes a little bit through. This will slide over it, click it, kind of click into place so that I don't have to hold it so much and line it up while I'm trying to squeeze it with the vise. And so what I ended up doing, I got this little portable vise, which can, if you had a table, you can attach it to. But it's flat without any teeth. You're going to put this in here till it's just below. You want this V kind of facing out so you can see what you're doing with the trigger bar. Okay. So then I'll just kind of turn this a little bit until I can try to get that pin to stick through just a little bit. Because, at least for me, trying to hold this and turn the vise at the same time, it's not going to work. I guess I could go to a table. Okay, see, so I went too far. Where did I? Yeah, just a little too far. Okay, there we go. Make sure the trigger bar is oriented properly. You don't want this little hole winging out the side. So see how now it's kind of gripped in there. Make sure that it's not improperly lined up. I don't want to pinch the bar with that pin. Now that I saw that it was good, just going to keep turning until it's flush. Okay, so that's flush here, and that captured the trigger bar. Good to go. All right, now to get to this guy. Sear housing. This pin can only come out one way. Okay, it's got a cap on this side, so it's got to come out this side. So we're going to push the pin through. Okay. There's a spring underneath the sear, so that's under tension. Make sure when you remove this punch, you just don't let it go flying. Now, factory actuator, factory sear, and this sear spring. Okay, so there's no plunger here from the factory, but Apex has one. So we're going to replace both the sear, the actuator, and this spring with this sear, the actuator, and one of these springs and the plunger for the appropriate trigger weight that I'm trying to achieve. So we're going to go ahead and set these aside over here because I don't want to mix and confuse the parts. It's the factory trigger return spring we'll set aside there. Okay, so the Apex sear. And the actuator. And for my desired weight, we want this unpainted spring and the plunger according to the flow chart. Oh, those are in a separate pocket. That's why I can't get it through. So, unpainted. And the plunger. Cannot get that back into that little hole, so we'll just put it in there. So for the sear spring, you can use the punch. Where's the little one? And then just drop it in there. And the plunger. Wish I had a magnetic. Just line that up there. So that's where we're at right now. So then this fits with the actuator like that. Orientate's going to get in the Sear housing like this. You can take that Sear pin, begin, you're going to compress that pin, the spring there, put the Sear, line up the holes and begin pushing this pin through. Once it captures the Sear, you can use this space here and wrap that actuator in there, and then finish pushing that pin through. That's it. Done with the Sear housing. Okay, so I'm going to reset this guy in here. Just push that down, nice and flush there. I'm supposed to use the factory trigger return spring. I want this open loop is going to go into there and rotate around to the up, so the opening of this loop is on top, and then when we put the pivot pin through, it's going to go on there like that. Okay, so just set that in there. Here the slide stop locking block. Okay. Now Apex gives us this little yellow guy here. Now you can use to set in here to capture that hole of the spring, the trigger return spring, and that way when you push this pin through, it's like a placeholder. I just use this punch and I capture it all and then push the pin through. So I've got the punch all the way through. Now this trigger pivot pin is capped, so it has to come in this side as well. And then I'm just going to tap that guy. While maintaining the pressure with the punch. Okay, and I'm through. I'm just going to do the other pins. Alright, all the pins are in. No obstructions here. And you look in here, I don't know if you can see it, but you can see the trigger return spring was captured by the pivot pin there. So that's what we want. And if you press it, it comes back, right? You know, look in here and you see trigger bar makes contact with the actuator, pushes the sear down, sear returns. So it looks like we are good to go. Love that. A little bit of uptake there. Okay, and we'll see where we're at on the weight. Just over 4 pounds. Looks good to me. It's Apex trigger install.